I think I'm going to put a patent on the expression of artificial whimsicality when every time a kid in this movie goes, So I just got back from seeing Doolittle, and this movie was actual cancer. This movie stars Robert Downey Jr., who's sleepwalking his way through some kind of an impression of Sherlock Holmes and Ichabod Crane from the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow. The story involves Robert Downey Jr., who has the ability to talk to animals. We've seen this story before. This is another example of something that's been done, but the director feels like this is something that nobody's ever heard of before, and this is all brand new material. It's not, okay? We get it. Robert Downey Jr. can talk to animals. That's what Dr. Doolittle is. I remember Dr. Doolittle stories from as far back as I can remember from my childhood. In this particular movie, it's kind of depicted in the fashion where Robert Downey Jr. talks animal talk to animals, but yet when we show Robert Downey Jr. talking to the actual animals, they're speaking to each other in English. But when other people see Robert Downey Jr. talk to animals, he's kind of going, oh, oh. And I'm not exaggerating that. He does that shit in this movie, and it's kind of embarrassing. I'm like, RDJ, I hope Disney's giving you all of the money. Hey, maybe that's why the CGI is so bad in this, because all of the budget went to Robert Downey Jr. It's been known to happen. Do a Google search. He's a shark when it comes to salary negotiations. And I hope they paid him a fortune for this, because he deserved a better movie than this. Robert Downey Jr. He's an animal doctor. He falls in love with a woman. They become explorers. They go all over the world. The woman dies, and then Robert Downey Jr. becomes a recluse, locks his doors, and becomes a hermit in the asylum. Until he is called upon again because a young teenage queen has been poisoned, and he has to journey to the edge of the universe or whatever and look for a magic elixir that will save the princess from being poisoned from deadly nightshade. That is the plot, and it took a very long time to set that up. And like I said, the setup was really impossible to follow because it's like a little bit of plot, joke, a little bit of plot, joke. This movie thinks that its audience has the attention span of a gnat. And it's fucking annoying because it's like every time the movie tries to get any kind of a pace going whatsoever, it's undercut by some obnoxious, stupid thing that an animal does in the movie. And the animals in this movie are very annoying. The characters are. I don't have anything against the actors that play them. It's just the way that they were written. That's the best way I can describe it. Except when we first see Robert Downey Jr., he looks like Mike Myers did when he was in The Love Guru. Remember that movie? So look, I don't want to sit here and spend the next 25,000 minutes dogging on kids' movies. I like plenty of kids' movies. I do think that kids are more intelligent than you give them credit for. So when you have a movie like this that is so devoid of any kind of storytelling or treats all of its audience like they're a bunch of ADHD spazoids, you know, I get a little angry because it is, after all, the parents that have to take their kids to see a movie. And when a movie is this hyper and annoying, I don't think it's fair to the parents who spent the money. I think the good kids movies that are also made by Disney can be enjoyed by all audiences. This is not one of them. This is made for kids that are hyper to keep them busy for 2 hours. It's an artificial babysitter. The CGI in this movie is terrible. The pacing is awful. Every time that they try to give any kind of semblance of a story or anything, it's undercut by bad jokes or an animal in this movie doing something really obnoxious. It's jarring and it's annoying as shit. I went into this with absolutely zero expectations because I didn't think the trailer looked very good. I'm like, here we go, another reboot that's painfully obviously designed to be another franchise, taking an old story, in this case Dr. Doolittle, which has been around for a very, very, very long time, and trying to reboot it with everybody's favorite sweetheart, Robert Downey Jr. Now, I like Robert Downey Jr. He's fantastic in Iron Man, and even before that, he won an Academy Award for playing Charlie Chaplin. So there is that. So he's kind of doing doing an amalgamation of a little bit of Charlie Chaplin, a little bit of Sherlock Holmes, and like I said, Ichabod Crane from Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. It's like a cross between those three. It's almost like this movie was designed to be like it was made for Johnny Depp in mind, but maybe because all the bad things that happened to Johnny Depp and the bad press, that maybe they slid RDJ in there at the last minute. He obviously doesn't give a shit about the script. He's not really very good in this. None of the other actors are very memorable, except for maybe Antonio Banderas shows up for a second. I kind of enjoyed seeing him in this movie, but he's not in it very long, so it wasn't enough to make me enjoy it. I wanted to get invested in it, but like I said, the CG in this movie is really bad. I mean, it's like late 90s level CG. If you thought The Phantom Menace was bad, I mean, hold my beer, here's Doolittle. This movie does little, guys. I can't give this movie any less than 1 star. I think it's deserved it. It's a 1-star movie. I don't think it's a bad movie for kids, you know, if you want to entertain them, and, you know, obviously you're not going to take them to see Bad Boys this weekend, but Doolittle, I don't know. I think you can wait on this one and maybe rent it instead. There's other stuff. Take them to go see Frozen 2 or something like that, but this one here, I really had a hard time enjoying it. Also, this is a movie that was designed for kids, but there's lots of jokes in there that involve a lot of pop culture stuff, like, hey, remember that reference from The Godfather, that very R-rated movie that came out in the 70s? I'm sure all kids get that reference, right? That's the kind of stuff that started to piss me off. There's one point where Robert Downey Jr. shoves his face into a aquarium and he's talking to an octopus, and the octopus says, "Snitches get stitches." I'm sure all kids are gonna giggle at that, right? Snitches get stitches? Maybe they will. It kind of made me laugh, but not for the reasons you think it would. It kind of made me laugh at just how fucking ridiculous the scene was. I had a hard time staying with this. I was just completely checked out after about an hour. It took a long time for things to develop, and then it's just kind of like scene, joke, scene, joke, scene, joke, scene, joke, scene, joke. If you hated the humor in Spider-Man Far From Home as much as I did, this is going to get on your nerves really bad. Yeah, avoid this one at all costs. It's a one cheese curd movie. I could not get into it. I hate being the bad guy that just dogs on a very obviously made for kids movie, but like I said, I don't think kids are as dumb as the audience that this is pandering towards. It's really obnoxious. Anyways, that's my review of Doolittle, the movie that did as little as possible. You guys have yourselves a groovy day, and this is the Groovinator signing out. Peace.